HaMitzvah Hashesh ve'arboim 46. He shetzivonu lahavi shtei halechem lemikdash. Which lemikdash is a very odd word. We don't know why the Ram said it over here, but no, I don't see that there's a special din of mikdash in shtei halechem as opposed to other karbanos. So that's it is what it is. So l'chseira shtei mikdash is not a peculiar thing, but it's indicative of all the karbanos that are totally in mikdash kayim. Even though makim apashein bias, as the Ram says that the mitzvahs which are dependent on all hakovas karbanos depend upon mikdash, and when there's no mikdash, there's no mitzvah. Even though there's a din of makim apashein bias, the Rambam at the end of Shurish Yudalid is akdoma to minyan mitzvahs. So I'm not sure. It's difficult to imagine this separate din of mikdash over here, especially in context of that. The Rambam was makdim the mitzvah of musaf atzeres to the mitzvah of shtei halechem. It's probably because that's the way you should bring them. The musaf comes before you bring the musaf, and afterwards the shtei halechem. As the Ram says, Tmiim musafim in Perek Ches Halacha Aleph, B'yom chamishim misviris oimer hu chag hashavuos v'hu atzeres, u'b'yom hazeh makriv musaf k'mo musaf Rosh Chodesh, the same number of different types of behemoths and different. The old mevi'in yese al hamusaf b'yom hazeh mincha kadosha shtei halechem makriven im halechem par u'shnei elim v'shiva kvosim hakol oilos v'sir chatos u'shnei kvosim zevach shlomim. So all I'm suggesting is the seder that the Ram quotes musaf first, because that's the seder havosam v'akrafosam. And then he says, shtei lechem chometz. Because the pasuk, ממושבותיכם תביאו לחם, תנופה שתיים, שני עשרונים, סולס תהיינו, חומץ תאופנו, ביקום להשם. So it's shtei lechem chometz lemikdash im hakarbanos miyuchadim, which is the ones that which are very similar to the karbanos of musaf, but it's in addition to it. And he says shehem yavo'u bigral halechem. Yavo'u bigral halechem. It's like the pashtus of the psukim, and that all the karbonos of Chumash Vayikra, as opposed to the Musafim and Pashas Pinchos and Sefer Dvorim, Sefer Bamidbar, it says U'akravtem al halechem, v'akravtem al halechem. That's what it means. Bo b'glal halechem al halechem. Shivas kvosim, tmimim b'nei shono ufar ben boko echol v'elim shnoim yiyu oilo l'Hashem u'min chosom v'niskehem yishireich nichoich l'Hashem ועשיתם שעיר עזים אחד לחטוס ושני כבוסים בני שונו לזבח שלומים והניף הכהן אויסום על לחם הביקורים תנופה לפני השם על שני כבוסים קודש ליהיו להשם לכהן. So that's what he means. Yivo bigral halechem. Biyoim ho'atzeres hakotzuv. Okay. Now here, what's the hakotzuv? There are various translations here. I'm using Ibn Iyov, and I'll explain hakotzuv. Ibn Tibbet says mugbal. She have no idea what he's talking about. Kapuk says akavua. You can't understand Ibn. It's al machadud in the Judeo-Arabic, and the Ram uses it in Church Yudalef for Einish. And he said mugbal. I'm not sure exactly what to translate, how it is, or get there. That's what Ibn Tibbet says there. But whatever it is, here it means on that day, the kavua, that day which is kotzuv, the 50th day of the Oymer, 50 days, b'yoim atzeres hakotzuv, which is nikva from the Oymer. 50 days after the Akobus Oymer. B'yoim atzeres hakotzuv ulahakriv hakorbanos. That he's going to bring the shtei halechem together with the other korbanos. And so what does he mean? It's a very strange expression. B'yom atzeres hakotzuv ulahakriv hakorbanos. What do you mean lahakriv hakorbanos? What else to do with the korbanos? So I think what he means is that lahakriv hakorbanos as opposed to the lechem. The lechem you're not makriv. It's only the korbanos. He means this as opposed to other things, that the lechem are not agav mizbeach. Then he says, ul'akav hakorbanos is very good. Yeah. Kamo shebo hakosuv b'sefer vayikra, because these are the korbanos in Sefer Vayikra. Okay. Kamo shebo hakosuv b'sefer vayikra. V'yochlu. See, here is interesting. It stops. It says Sefer Vayikra. It says v'yochlu hakohanim es halechem acha hanefosam. See here, first of all, it doesn't mean immediately after the Hanofa, because you need Zrikas Adam and Aktor Seimuim of the Kvasim, as the Gemara Menachos says in Mem Vav and Aleph, and the Ram Nuchas the Besaf and Perek Ches Aloch Yud Aleph. But it means it's somewhat after the Hanofa, okay? It's after the Hanofa, but not immediately after. V'yochu hakohanim shtei alech machanosu im kivsei shlomim hashlomim. Now, it could be that he ends the Sefer Vayikra ki kamo shebo hakos Vayikra, because afterwards it's not mentioned that the v'yochu hakohanim shtei alechem acha nefosim. It doesn't say that. It doesn't talk about the achila. Im kivsei ashlomim. So it says u'shnei kvosim b'nei shono lezevach shlomim. V'heinif hakoyin oisom al lechem habikurim tnufa lefnei havaya al shnei kvosim kodesh yiyu lashem lakoyin. So the question is, the kodesh yiyu lashem lakoyin goes on the lechem and on the kivsei atzeres. That's what the goyim learns in the Derech Elio. Tov acher in Chof Gimel Chof, Kona Hashem v'nosan lakoyin, v'zo halechem. V'nosan lakoyin, v'zo halechem b'korei akiva. And what it means is that kona l'Hashem v'nosan lakoyin is the schias hakoyin in the shtei halechem. And this zechiyah is for achila. Okay? The zechiyah is for achila. I think we discussed this in Shiur Yud Beis. So, what the Ram does is v'yochlu hakohanim shtei halechem achanofosim kivsei hashlomim, that the achila of the shtei halechem is also kiyum in this mitzvah. It's the seder of the mitzvah. Now, the Rambam also quotes by lechem aponim in mitzvah chav zayin that the kohanim eat the lechem aponim. There are three minchas hatziba necholos. There's lechem aponim, minchas ha'omer, u'shtei halechem. The Ram says it's an akdomo in the Pirush HaMishnah in Maseches Menachos. The Gemara in Yuma on Lametes Amud Aleph says that the Kohanim ochlu pochos mikzayis kipur. And it's talking about the lechem aponim and also the shtei halechem. And the achronim, all go, minchas, achronim, rishonim, tes yishonim, and yuma. And there, tes yishonim and yuma, alamites, the Ramascho Shemagir Kapur, the Ridvot, the Ramascho Koyen, Minchas Chinuch Achronim, Mitzvah Kufla Medalid, Mikdash David Kochim, Siman Yudalid Oizvov. So it talks about a Kafur, and Lechem Aponim, and Shtei Halechem. So the Beis HaLevi, and Shalat Shuvas Beis HaLevi Chelik Al Siman Beis, says the Chiddush that Achilus Kapul is the key in the chefs of Carbon. That it should be Nechal Ayidei Kohanim. And not a kiyum in the mitzvah Achilus Gava of Kohanim. They say that. You could say since this mitzvah of Shtei Halechem and the Kivsei Atzeres and the Lechem Aponim are community obligations on the tzibur, so the mitzvahs achila, see, it's not a din in all karbonos. It's a din in karbonos sibur that the karbonos sibur should be nechal because there's no the ma'aseh mitzvah of kilu achilas menachos or whatever is a chiyuv on the kohen. But besides that, or whether that exists or not, that's a different issue. I don't want to go into that now. Maybe we will. But there is a din that the chefsa and minchas sibur, not all kabbalas, but the minchas sibur should be nechal al yidei al yidei hakohanim, but not the ma'aseh achila per se. And I would assume also so therefore, therefore, whether the mitzvah, I'm not getting involved in that, whether there's a mitzvah of achilas menachos, as the Rambam has a separate mitzvah achilas menachos, but it's also part of the mitzvah of shtei lechem. It's part of the mitzvah of lechem upon him that the carbon is nechal duch koyin, and that's not the ma'aseh achila. And I assume also the shtei lechem will be part of this. I mean, excuse me, the kivsei atzeres. Okay, next. Vuhu amroi yis'aleh ממושבותיכם תביאו לחם תנופה 2 עשרונים ממושבותיכם תביאו לחם תנופה, this lechem abikurim which remaineth 2 עשרונים. Okay, so that we have. Now, just to go back to the point before, the question is there only one kiyum achila that the chefs of Korban is nechal, but teres mincha sibur? Is there also a kiyum of achilus menachos, which is separate mitzvah? There's pei zayin, pei ches. There's one in the mitzvah from achilus b'sar kochim, from Kohanim, and then there's another mitzvah achilas menachos. So the question is there also a key of achilas menachos? Maybe one could suggest, or there's no necessity, let's say, there's no necessity that achilas shtei menachos, that achila of menachos in general, there's a kiyum in ba'achila shtei lechem. Even though shtei lechem is called a mincha, and that's a befurish Gemara in menachos mem vavam beis. The Gemara says shtei lechem ikrei mincha shenema ba'akrivchem mincha dosh al Hashem. Because maybe one could suggest, if you look at the mitzvah of achilas menachos, the mitzvah is in shiuri menachos. As it says, the Ram says, look at the mitzvah peches. Mitzvah say peches. He should sivono akohanim lecho shiuri menachos. V'omo yis'ale v'anoiseres min ha-mincha. Mimena v'anoiseres mimena yochul Aaron ubonov matzos teochel. So it could be that the mitzvah of achilas menachos depends upon kmitza, shoy menachos. V'anoiseres min ha-mincha. So because duch the kmitza, there's noch noiseres. And there's no kmitza in shtei lechem. Okay, I'm not getting involved. You can start talking about lechem upon him because there's a bezichin, but it's not a kmitza. I don't know if you call it no seres. On that you could know. That I'll leave to you. You can do whichever way you want. But over here, I'm saying certainly one could suggest that it doesn't exist. Next. Okay. Now, ukfar his boy b'revi'im menachos Mishnah Gimel, Perek Dal Mishnah Gimel. You look at the Gemara menachos המ"ה בבייס, שזה הקרבן שיביאו בגלל הלחם חולק ממוסף היום. Because it's very important, because it's the same, there are no two mitzvahs. There's a mitzvah of musaf, and there's a mitzvah of shtei lechem with the karbonis, of with a b'gלל lechem. Ushezeh zulazeh. They're two separate entities. There's one set of karbonis in Sefer Vayikra, and one set of karbonis in Sefer Bamidbar. Okay. This pasuk that the Rambam brings, first of all, in ממושבותיכם תביאו lechem תנופה, let's go back to the ממושבותיכם תביאו lechem תנופה, שני עשרונים, all the Rambam brings in the pasuk is the shtei lechem and the description of them, but it's missing the mitzvah of but it's missing the karbonos, the karbonos which are on the lechem. So it's a double portion that the Ram is keilu, it's written v'chulei over here. To mirames to the rest of the psukim. V'karvtem lechem shivas kvosim tmimim b'nei shana upar ben boko echod v'elim shnoim yiyu oilo l'Hashem umin chosom v'niskeim ish erech nichoich l'Hashem ועשיתם סיר איזים אחד לחטוס ושני כבוסים בני שונה לזבח שלומים. And the Rambam in Minakotza also brings the karbonos lechem. It's part of the mitzvah. Even the Rambam doesn't mention everything. Now, derech agav, just there is another text, and you can flip the whole thing. The way it is in Ksavya Kapach and Ibn Tibin, it stops. It says Shtayim Shnei Esroinim. Period. Okay. In Ibn Ayuf, which was the first translation, it might be a better one. Just those the Yoidei Dovas say that Ibn Tibet had better business connections, and that's always accepted. But whatever it is, it says in his thing, it says ממושבותיכם תביאו lechem v'goymer. So once you have a goymer, you can say it could go in everything. So I'm telling you, I didn't tell you the two gisos before because you only asked this question, you appreciate that you could flip it and say it includes more. Okay? Now, when he says Shezeh HaKorban, and that's the original Judeo. It was in Hebrew. This part, the hey is in the Arabic, but the hey you did before. HaKorban sheyavoy biglau halechem cholok mimusaf hayom. Okay, so this korban, even though it's in singular, it really is plural. The korban refers to the whole kit and caboodle, with all the things that the makriv with the shtei lechem. It's a double portion. It refers to what he says before, ha-karbonos ha-miyuchadim. Remember, im ha-karbonos ha-miyuchadim shem yavo b'gלל lechem. So that's this korban is the karbonos ha-miyuchadim. Okay, next. Now we used to say Shezeh HaKorban שיובו בגלל הלחם חולוק ממוסף היום, ושזה זו לזה. A person shouldn't make the mistake, and the karbonos shem boim b'glar lechem heim amusaf shel atzeres. And the Ram also in Tmidim Musafim stresses you shouldn't make the mistake. In Perek Ches Halacha Aleph, B'yom Chamish Mesiras Ha'omer Hu Chag HaShavuos V'hu Atzeres, uB'yom Hazeh Makriv Musaf K'mo Musaf Rosh Chodesh V'chulei. V'elu hein hakarbonos hamus b'chomesh hapikudim. It means in Pinchas. That's the musaf. V'hei musaf hayom. V'oid mevim yeser al hamusaf b'yoyim hazeh mincha chadosha shtei halechem umakrivim im halechem par u'shnei elim v'shiva kvosim hakol oilos. Usi chatos, ushnei kvosim, zevach shlomim. And then he finishes, V'elu hein hakarbonos hamus b'chomesh vayikol. So one is in Vayikol, the other is in Sefer Vayikol, and the other is in Sefer Bamidbar. And two separate karbonos. Okay, next. וכבר ביארנו, אנחנו זה ביום מספיק במסכת מנוחס. It's like, he's telling you that if you have any problems, check out the Pirush Mishnayos and Menachos. And derech agav, it is very clear that the Pirush Mishnayos was written prior to Sefer HaMitzvos. It is true that some chacham will come and say, "Oh, the Pirush Mishnayos in Chulin at the end of the first parak refers to Sefer HaMitzvos." So the answer is, do you tell that chacham that that's Madura Basra and the Rambam is written later, and he's going back to about the Masa and Aaron, whatever it is, and then he just refers back to what he says in Sefer HaMitzvos. But this is very clear. He's referring, and he's interesting. He's like giving almost a ploy, an advertisement. V'kvar biyanu anachnu ze bio maspik b'meseches menachos. I don't know. The truth is, and it's a question you're asking, but what's enough? It's the truth is it's true. Let's say good geschrieben, and he wrote it, and it's maspik. But what's also something Sefer HaMitzvos? It's not negate to the mitzvah whether he explained it well in the Pirush Mishnayos and Menachos. I just don't know what he wants over here exactly. Okay, but say that. But it is what it is. Umishpatei. So I'm not sure who he's referring to. Is he referring to the whole thing, or is he referring to this idea that they're two separate karbonos? I know. The question is, what's he referring to? Maybe he's only referring to a very simple thing. This concept that shezeh zulazeh, maybe that's what he's referring to. Okay? That you have to check. Umishpatei mi'amitzvah zo kulam kvar hisbaru b'revi u'b'chamishi u'b'shmini u'b'acharosa mi'menoches. Okay, Sefer. Next. Mitzvah mem zayin. A mitzvah hasheva v'arboim. He shetzivonu lahakriv korban musaf b'yom rishon mitishrei. V'hu musaf Rosh Hashanah. Okay. The mitzvah is Yom Rishon Tishrei. which is also Rosh Hashanah. And no 2 days Rosh Hashanah. It's only because of whatever happens. But there's only 1 day Rosh Hashanah. And that was when they were makriv, okay? Biom Rishon b'Tishrei, shehu Musaf Rosh Hashanah. V'hu Amro Yis'aleh ובחדש השביעי באחד לחדש וגוימר ועשיתם אוילו לריח ניחוח להשם. This is Musaf Rosh Hashanah, a separate mitzvah. It's a separate mitzvah for Musaf Rosh Chodesh. There's a mitzvah of Musaf Rosh Chodesh, and there's a Musaf of Rosh Hashanah, which is nitosiv on the Musaf of Rosh Chodesh. As the Ram says in Musafim, Perik Tes Haloch Aleph, B'yecha b'Tishrei makriv Musaf hayom par v'ayil v'shiva kvosim hakol oilois usir chatos hanecheles v'zeh Musaf hayom yeser al Musaf Rosh Chodesh hakorev b'chol Rosh Chodesh. Ram's very clear about that. Okay. Next. Here also, you can play around this. Maybe it's referring to things afterwards, because in Ibn Eov, by us it says Reach Nichoach Lashem, and in Ibn Eov it says Nichoach V'Goymer. Okay, whatever that's worth. Next, mitzvah. So there's a mitzvah lahakiv musaf b'yom rishon mitishrei. And this is Musaf Rosh Hashanah, and the Ram clearly in Mishnah Torah points out that it's above and beyond the carbon of Rosh Chodesh, of Musaf. Next, Mitzvah Memches, Mitzvah Hashmona v'Arboim Ish Zivon L'Akiv Korban Musaf b'Yom Asiri Mitishrei v'Amo Yis'aleh ובעשור לחדש השביעי וגם הקרבתם אוילו להשם ריח ניחוח. Okay, the question, how much of the pasuk is, you have in different kisveyab. I'm not sure how much is negeitos, but there is a musaf of Yom Kippur, and it's also a separate mitzvah. I mean, mitzvahs. Next. This will be a little bit more interesting, I hope. Mitzvah Memtes. A mitzvah atesha ve'arboim. Hishitzivonu. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to veer away from Ibn Tibbon. Ibn Tibbon says, la'asos, something like as la'asos after this Yom Kippurim. But in Kapach, it says, first of all the Kisviyad in Ksav Yad Bloch, Oxford, whatever that is, It's not clear the actual ksav yad. It's not clear. Might have taken a different ksav yad and just and thought everything was the same. Whatever it is, what's known as ksav yad bloch. Okay, we published. It says avodas hayom, and in Targum Ibn and in Kapach. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Now, in Ibn Tibin, he says la'asos. And this la'asos and probably it's based on, there's no evidence in the ksav yad. That's why I left it out. You find it in Minyan HaKotzer. La'asos avodas hayom b'yom tzom shenema b'zos yovo Aaron v'chulei u'mayes adas b'nei Yisrael v'chol ha'avoda ha'ksuva v'parsha achrei mois. So this last it is true the Rambam has it in the Minyan HaKotzer, but to translate, I don't know. I think we should try to be, accurate in translating the text. And the word last is not there. Okay, I'm not sure I'm not saying there's enough. I just want to be accurate with what the Rambam says. Kloima. Now here also. What's the next word? Now in Ibn Tibin and Ibn Eov, it says klau, and this is probably how to say it? It's a literal translation of the Arabic jmala. And it certainly the Rambam later say the word klolos, we'll see the word later, which is also the same merge. It means the kutten kabruta, the whole everything assumed that's in this parasha goes under the mitzvah. Klau hakobonis vaviduyim, the vidui of Yom Kippur. We have to see whether it comes out also the mitzvahs vidui in general, but the vidui of Yom Kippur comes under the mitzvah of Seder Avodah Yom Kippur. That's what he says. Vaviduyim hamuchuyavim. I'm saying because this Mechuyavim is probably a closer translation to the Makor, and Kapach says Shehein Choyva. The Ibn Tibin translates it over here, HaMisukonim, if a Lashon from Bzot, HaMisukonim. And I don't know where he got it from and what translation it is, but the Ksav Kisviyad, which we have, and even it's not there. Okay? So that's what I thought. It means the Viduyim, HaKobolos, Vaviduyim, Michovon, that you're obligated to bring on this day of the Tzom, of the Yom Tzom HaKippur, which makes sense. Okay? Kidei Shechaper Behem Kol Avonis. This I'm a little bit confused. Is what I'm trying to tell you, Tami HaMitzvah, or he's trying to explain why the Viduyim are included. What does he want? Kidei Shechaper Keshichape kol avonis, all the avonis. Shavim, lo shavim, not getting involved in what, who, and what, and where. The same shlech lam, keshichape kol avonis. Okay, the same. Kamo shebo bakosov, vuhu hachuka bichlala. And here, b'chlal, the same thing. It's the chukah of the whole parsha. B'chlala haksuva b'achimois. He's talking about the whole parsha as one unit. That's the mitzvah. V'raya heyois haklal. The same thing. This klal. This whole the group of objects mentioned in the parsha. Whatever you're supposed to do, kulei mitzvah achas. This is very strange. He's trying to work. Maybe there should have been 10 mitzvahs in the parsha, or other. Should have been different count. Okay.
I could have said the shliach hasayir is different. That's why he's saying even the shliach
hasayir is in it. How do I know that? Because you open the Rambam in Mishnah Torah, he includes it when he includes the thing, when he talks about the mitzvah. Okay, but that's yeah. I didn't want to get involved in that, but that's I think that's pretty. I think it's clear. Okay, we'll see. You want 1 second? When I take it out, I had in mind 1 second. No, I had in mind 1 second. No. Yeah, mitzvahs in Hilchos say Hilchos Avodas Yom Kippurim. Vuhu shiase maase Yom HaKippurim kuloi ala seder kmo shekosu b'pashas achaymois hakobonos v'aviduyim v'shiluach hasoyer. Okay, also steht in Rambam. Derech Agav, this is also not for our discussion here, but this probably may have mentioned it there. We'll let Shiur base. This is what he's trying to say. I assume what is over here when he says Kulei mitzvah achas. This is Shiur base. But listen further what he says. Amram, like the whole Ma'asachatos is one mitzvah, the Ma'aseh is one mitzvah, the Ma'aseh Oshem is another mitzvah, Ma'aseh Shlom is a mitzvah, the Ma'aseh Mincha. Amram, B'seif Perek Chamishi Mekipurim in Perek Hey Mishnah Zayin Kol Ma'aseh Yom HaKippurim Ha'omo Ala Seder Hittim ma'aseh lechaveroi loy osa klum. Okay. And that's the proof, because the Ram says in Shiur Aleph that if you have things ma'akev, zeh, it's all one mitzvah. If it's not ma'akev, maybe it's 2 mitzvahs. But it is ma'akev, it's certainly 1 mitzvah. Ukvais boy mishpatei mitzvah zo kulom mesechta hamuchuberes lo vihi meseches yuma. Now let's go slowly. We talked about viduyim and l'chera. I'm saying that the viduyim of Yom HaKippurim are part of the mitzvah of the Ma'aseh Yom HaKippurim. or avodas Yom Kippur. And the kiyum and the carbon of what you meant to in Yom Kippur. And the Ram also says this in the Protei Mitzvos in avodas Yom Kippur, even including Sima Shlech with the soil. But vidu ala carbon is also a kiyum in the mitzvahs vidui. And that the Ram clearly says in Aseh Ayin Gimel, and he quotes the pasuk of Vidui Kohen Gadol at the end of the mitzvah. So it's very clear that there are two kiyumim in the Vidui Yom Kippurim, a kiyum Vidui in general and a kiyum in the mitzvah Yom Kippurim. Mamish two, the same thing in two separate mitzvahs. Very interesting thing. Next. Okay. Now, you see, the Rambam is like overkill because all you need is makiv zeh. But if the seder's likuva, it's simply makiv. It's even more than that. Not only is makiv zeh, but the seder's. It's overkill. But you know that once the seder's makiv, it's makiv zeh. Once it's makiv zeh, we know it's one mitzvah. And that's what he wants in Shiur Yud Aleph. Okay, next. Now, mitzvah nun. Mitzvah chamishim, hishisivonu lahakiv kol musaf b'mei hachag, b'mei chag hasukkos. V'omer yis'aleh v'karvtem oilo ish erech nichoyach l'Hashem, l'Havaya, v'zeu musaf hachag. Okay. Okay. The Rambam takes the door poshut that the musaf of Chag HaSukkos is one mitzvah, even though the number of karbanos of musaf changes from day to day, and each musaf of each day is a separate parsha in the Torah. And the Gemara says that the reason why you're mechuyev to say Hallel every day of Sukkot is because it's chiluk karbanos. So you say, oh, so maybe that should be a reason that you should count them as separate mitzvahs. So, the best proof that you would have that it's really all one mitzvah is the pasuk Shivas Yomim Takrivu Ish El Hashem, the pasuk which the Ram quoted, we pointed out last week by Musaf of Pesach, which really was said by Sukkot, not by Pesach. that would have been the best proof. Because the Torah refers to the whole Musaf with one sivui. And the pasuk v'graftem oilo ishe l'Hashem, it has you see like this. In the rest of the Kabbalas of Musaf, you see in Sukkot, only by the first day. So I said you could have brought Vayikra. The Ram doesn't bring Vayikra. That L'chai would have been very simple. But in Pashas Pinchas, in each day, except for the first day, it just gives a list of the Kabbalas he's supposed to be makriv. There's no tzivui. The tzivui is only on the first day, where it says v'karabtem. So l'cheira, v'karabtem doesn't only go on the first day; it goes in the whole parsha, each parsha, because v'karabtem then it tells you this on this day and this on that day. So the verb to be makriv is the same. So you could have said that it's one sivui, and the mispoi karbonos is just happens to change every day, but it's the same sivui to makriv. And maybe there are those that have the text. I think could be mincha. And according to some, it's in Kapach, it has v'chulei,
very
and
good.
also in Ibn Ayov. If you look in the Ksavya, which is in the library, it has also v'chulei there. Okay. So maybe it's the whole thing. Whatever it is, that's the scoop. Okay. So it means that's that the whole thing. Vikaftem is this and that and that. The same Vikaftem and l'cheira, but it's a much better guy in by Pesach. Okay, and not by Pesach in Pashas in Pashas Emo, where it says Vikaftem on the whole Shiva Sano all 7 days. Now, when we learned Sherish Yud Gimel with the Rav said the following. He says, why the Rambam assumes a double portion that the Musaf of Sukkot is one mitzvah? So he said, he said, it's the Gemara on Shabbos, on Chafara from the base. Besham Yoimrim, Yoim Rishon Madlik Shmone, Mikan V'Elech Poiches V'Helech. V'chad Omer, time of the Beis Shammai, Keneged Poyachag. So you see from this, from Beis Shammai, that the Poyachag is one Seder. It's not separate, it is kept. Okay? And therefore the Rambam counts the Musafei Achag as mitzvah achas. Even though the Pashas before it's a mitzvah achas. Whether this is the pshat or not, or just the Tesefes Biur, whatever you want, but that's what he said. Beseder. Mitzvah nun aleph, a mitzvah ha'achas, v'chamishi, tzivor la'akiv, korban musaf, biyoim shmini, mechag asukos, v'zehu musaf shmini atzeres. Ma shichav nivna musaf zeh mibnei atzor chiluk mechlal yemei asukos, heyois השורש אצלנו שמיני עצרת רגל בפני עצמו. So Mitzvah Hashem will explain this next time. The question is the Korban Regel. We'll see. No, you have to look at the Gemara, look at the Rambam, and Mitzvah Hashem will take care of this and move on. Mitzvah Hashem, have a wonderful week and Atzloch.
Amen.